This was the first guild that we put in here. I'm glad we did, and it has shown me the importance of just getting started. Just plant something. And that's how we got started right here, with this one tree and a couple of comfrey plants and a few mulleins. And that was the start. So I thought I'd give you a tour today of our Fuji guild. Here's the Fuji tree. It's not all filled out, it's not all gorgeous, it's not all planted for the year, but it's here. And it's here because there's so many perennials in it. The perennials are great because they give us something that comes up right away. They give us something that we don't have to plant. And as a spoonie, coming outside in the spring to see plants already growing without me having to do anything is amazing. And it's motivating because the life starts before I get it started. So just a real quick explanation of what a guild is, because I use that word a lot and I'm not sure if I've ever actually defined it for y'all. A guild is a group of plants that works together, basically. So this apple tree here, we put in, it's a full-sized apple tree, and we did that so that it doesn't obstruct the view of the lake from the house. So it's up. And everything that we have put around this tree is here to either directly support the tree or to support the other plants in the guild. You can think of a guild like a menu for a 5-course meal, except there'd be more courses than that. It's not like a catering menu. When I learned about guilds, I wanted to know what plants I was supposed to put with an apple tree. I wanted a catering menu, right? I wanted to say, I have an apple tree and that comes with the side of this and this salad and that dessert, right? But no, it's not like that. It's like a full menu where you say, okay, so the apple tree is the main course, and to go with that apple tree, I can have different appetizers that do different things and different desserts that do different things. You're not set by the focal point, right? And you're not set by the main course. That doesn't determine what else you're going to eat. So we want plants that support different functions within our guilds. One extremely important function is ground cover. Here we have pineapple mint, and yes, I am the kind of jerk who puts mint in the ground. That's okay. Pineapple mint spreads really far. See, it goes all the way over there. It spreads really aggressively, but that's okay because, here, watch this. All right, see this piece here? This is how easily it pulls. And its roots are just right underneath the surface. It goes by runners, and they can be quite a bit thicker than this, but it's just that easy to pull them up. So it's not a big deal if it spreads everywhere. I can just literally just come in and pull it up by its roots. It smells wonderful, and walking on it is always nice because it's just going to release that smell when you do. Sometimes I'm walking through the gardens and I don't realize that I've stepped on it until I smell it. Lemon balm is another ground cover that I use. This is the new Melissa officinalis mandarina, and it smells like oranges. Here, have a sniff. That's nice. Pulled off all these big leaves because I just planted it the other day and I want it to concentrate on its roots. Now, lemon balm is a mint, but it's here. Let's go over here and I'll show you. So this lemon balm is 3 years old, and I started it from seed. It was in a pot. I cut off part of it, put it here. And so this is about 3 years worth. Last year, I did cut off some over on this side. You can see it's got a little bald patch there. And I shared that with someone. But it's not too aggressive. It just grows beautifully, fills out, and then you can literally do like I did last year and just cut out a chunk every few years if it starts to spread too much. So I could just come and cut this here and take out half of this and it would be fine. Although if I did that, I would probably take out the half closest to the dwarf comfrey. So back to this one. It's just a baby. I started this one from seed in the winter. I don't remember exactly when. December, January, something like that. And it's beautiful. I have a couple of others. I'm gonna pot them up, and I have one for my mom when she visits, and then some to move with me. So all in all, you know, it should take up a pretty good space. But don't worry, mints aren't the only ground cover that I have in this guild. I also have a pineberry, and it's right down here. It's just the one in this guild right now. I had two, and I accidentally pulled the other one out when I was pulling weeds because, I don't know, oops. But it has a couple of flowers. I've plucked some of its flowers so that it would concentrate on runners, but now I'm just gonna let it do what it wants. But this should fill in really nicely. Pineberries have more tolerance for heat and cold and drought and all that kind of stuff than strawberries do. So I have most of my guilds planted out with pineberry, and I only have strawberries in 2 spots. The oregano has gone wild this spring. The lawn just got mowed yesterday and everything has clippings on it. But look at that. It's amazing. It's been close to the ground the last several years, and this spring it just, I mean, that's 6-8 inches tall right there. It's eating the borage. It's eating the comfrey. It's going wild, and I love it. I'm probably just gonna come harvest a bunch of it. Eventually, the tree will fill in and it will get bigger. Like I said, this is a full size, so this tree is going to be 40 feet tall one day. And once that canopy gets really thick, this oregano probably won't stay here so much. I'm sure it will creep out and start to die off where it's getting deep shade. But that's years away, and that's assuming that the new owners keep it. Did you know that ground cover plants, and not just the ones that run on the ground like these, but ones that shade the ground, can reduce your soil temperature by like 20 degrees in the summer? That's wild. And then with the shade from the tree, that's going to be even better. So hopefully the new owners keep this tree guild here, because what this is going to do for them in the long term is this is going to provide a big area of shade that's going to help cool this lot a lot in the summer. And we've been hitting 115 pretty well consistently in the summer times. This will be a great asset to this lot as things progress. Let's just say that. So these comfreys here were part of the original guild. They were some of the first things that I put in, and it's 3. It's 1 plant here, 1 plant here, and 1 plant there. I've pulled the side off of this one to use. Those went into the worm bins, if you saw that. And then they're all dividing and growing. So see here, get you down in there, see there, this little piece, this little piece that's coming up straight out of the ground. This is because I cut the roots over here a while back, and then it's popped up here. And it flowers. And these are just the little buds. So let's go jump over to another guild so you can see what the flowers will look like. In addition to being amazing ground cover plants, they're also great for pollinators. They make these little bell-shaped flowers. They're so sweet. And they start with these little nifty whorls, these little Fibonacci spirals. And they're gorgeous. And these will be visited by a lot of bees, different types of bees all throughout the year, as long as they are putting on flower. And this just happens to be the first one to flower. This one is at the Golden Delicious Guild. This is a Bocking 4. I have some Bocking 14s. The ones that we were looking at the Fuji Guild are Bocking 14s. And then you saw the dwarf comfrey at the Oak Guild, which makes the white flowers. And they also start out with that Fibonacci spiral. The Comfrey is a nutrient accumulator, which means that its roots go down, down, down into the ground, and they help pull up the nutrients and the minerals that are down deep in the ground. And we're on clay here. So that means that they're pulling up stuff from very nutrient-rich soil, lots of minerals down there, but it's dense, so it's hard to get to. So they're also a taproot plant. They put down a deep root and help pull all that stuff up. And then you can either take the leaves and put them into your compost or into your worm bin, like I showed you before, or we can just take these as chop and drop. And that means that I can literally just take some of these leaves, pluck them right off the plant, and then throw them next to something, and as they break down, they will help fertilize. So we have an overstory, we have ground cover, we have herbaceous plants, we have pollinator attractors, we have nutrient accumulators, we have deep taproots, and the deep taproots, they also help drill into the ground, which on the hard clay is very, very helpful. And that allows pathways for water to go in. So in addition to all those things, we're attracting the good insects, but what about the bad insects? So we have some plants that offer scent confusion. We have chives, and we have garlic. Now, of course, those garlics are going to be pulled in June-ish. The bottoms of them are already starting to die back, so they're getting there, but they're not ready to pull yet. So I will lose that scent confusion as summer comes on. But those chives are looking really good, and I might divide those and kind of spread them around a little bit. I could also put in other types of onions or things like that for scent confusion. Marigolds help a lot. I don't know why I'm not a big fan of them. It's an aesthetic thing, I think. But I tend to skip the marigolds. And of course, there's other beneficial bugs that we want to attract as well. So we are attracting our pollinators, which is awesome. Once the oregano flowers, it will attract bees. But we also want to attract insects that do other jobs. We have things like yarrow. And yarrow also helps shade the ground. Yarrow can be used for chop and drop. It accumulates, check me on this because I might be wrong, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. So you can cut the branches, the leaves, and use them as chop and drop around plants. And when they get big, or if you do this when it's time to prune them, like in the early fall, it works great. It's supposed to help with flowering and fruiting. So you would lay that down and then let it rot over the season, and then the soil biology comes and works on it, right? And works it into your soil, and then it helps your plants. So I have not tried that yet because I just learned about it, but it is on my list for sure. And I have a lot of yarrows ready to move with me. I have 20 over there right now, and it's 10 of these, the common yarrow. That's the main one that you want for medicinal purposes. And then I also have 10 of the Colorado mix, which can be used for medicinal purposes. I've read that this one is better, significantly better, that you should use it, and I've read that there's not too much difference. So I don't know. I'm gonna go with both, and I'll use my common for medicinal, and then I'll put my other ones just around because they're pretty. They make pastel pinks. There's one that is this, I don't have any of it flowering right now. It's this gorgeous like antique shell pink. It's beautiful. These little bitty flowers attract little bitty bugs. And I just saw one fly in here, including parasitic wasps. And if you remember, parasitic wasps help us with our tomato hornworms. And my tomatoes live right down there. They're this big. Well, on the screen they're like this big, so you probably can't see them, but they will live there. They do live there. I will also be putting dill. I'm planted out all my dill. I need to start more, but I'll also be putting dill in this guild to attract those little bitty bugs too. And those little parasitic wasps, what they do is they lay their eggs inside of caterpillars. And then it's this whole like H.R. Geiger alien type situation that goes on. You can look up pictures. It's really cool and really gross at the same time, like many things. Quick little story time. Borage is the plant that I used to start working on my fear of bees. Not that it all happened like that. It took a while and it's not totally gone. About 10, 12 years ago, I decided that I was tired of being afraid of bees. I wanted to have bees one day and I needed to work on it. So I put a pack of pollinator attractor seeds next to my compost bin. It must have had like 3 or 4 borages that all germinated right next to each other. It was this gigantic mass of borage. And I decided, hi little bee, how are you, honey? I was gonna put a chair next to the borage plants. And it started out several feet away. And every day I would go out and I would sit in that chair for, I think at first I might have made it 2 minutes before I freaked out and ran away. I built up the time longer and longer. See, I still freak out a little bit. And once I got up to like 10 or so minutes, I started moving the chair closer. And by the end of the summer, I was sitting with my knees in the borage plants for like 10 to 15 minutes a day. And I didn't freak out and my heart rate didn't go up and I didn't feel all twitchy unless they started to like fly around my face or start to land on me, which landing on me doesn't scare me anymore. Flying around my face, I think that's just a things flying around my face thing and not necessarily a bee thing. Yeah, I spent one summer just sitting in borage, exposing myself to bees, trying to calm my fear, and it helped a lot. Thank you, borage, because now I can make friends with little honeys. Borage is in the same family as Comfrey that we just discussed. It's the Borageaceae family. That means that borage is going to have a lot of the same benefits as Comfrey, just not quite as strong. But check out what it did. I want to show you this one spot in the guild. I can't say for sure it was borage, but I'm pretty sure it was borage. Right down here, where the yarrow is, and these little calendulas, and some pineapple mint, and these daffodils here. This part of the guild, I replanted so many times over the years. Every single thing that I put in that part of the guild for the first 20, 21, 22. Yeah, for the first 3 years, every single thing I put there died. Pepper plants died, bean plants died, calendula, borage, doesn't matter, everything that I put there died. Until last year. And last year, early in the season, a self-sown borage took there. And it got huge. It got this big, except my other hand's on the camera and you can't see it. It got like, I don't know, 3-4 feet wide. Gigantic, right? And I just let it stay here. I let everything about it stay here. I let it live here. I let its leaves fall off here. I let its flowers fall off here. I let it die here. And I let it entirely break down right here. Like I said about the Comfrey, it's a nutrient accumulator. Not quite as strong as the Comfrey. But what happened when we did that, myself and the borage, is that it took all those things down from in the ground and it brought them up into their leaves. And when I let it die in place and stay in place and rot in place, that whole thing with the soil biology, it fed the ground. At the same time, that deep root that went down was allowing water to get into the ground. It was opening a pathway. Leaving that nutrient accumulator in place and letting it go through its whole life and death process made this part of the ground more fertile, which I noticed when the daffodils came up nicely and when the pineapple mint started to creep in. I was like, oh, we might be okay right here. And then this yarrow that I put in last year that was kind of on the edge of the bad spot it started filling in really nicely, and I was like, aha! That's when I decided that these calendulas that I started in, I don't know, December, January in pots, I came in, I planted them out in like February, and they are doing really well. You can see they're already starting to flower. Little buds. And I put 3 along the front side. And then there's 2 back here. 1 there, and 1 over here. And yes, they all have bricks next to them. When I'm planting in a guild and I put in like a little seedling, I mark it with a brick so that I know where to water, because I'm not going to water the entire guild just to water 1 seedling, right? So I know where to water, and I know where not to weed, because I'm known for weeding plants. Now, I've told you before that even though I'm moving, I keep planting because it's what I do, and because I feel like it's right, and because I'm here to serve the ground, right? I'm here to serve the earth and to protect it and to plant it and to make it healthy. And if the future owners choose not to keep this guild and not to keep all the plants that I put in, that's okay. I've still worked on the ground, and whatever they decide to do with it is going to go better. So I just keep planting. The plus side of it, karma taking my side, is that as my move is delayed, I have stuff here. And I have places to put the too many plants that I have in pots that I was going to move, but now I have time to restart them, and yeah, it's worked out well. So I've added a couple of new plants besides the lemon balm that I showed you. So I want to show you a couple of those. I just put them in the other day, so they are looking haggard and sad and awful. So forgive them for the way that they look. They're working on it. I will do a foliar spray again tonight. I'm back in my foliar spray every other day thing right now. So here's an elecampane looking very sickly. This will eventually become a 6-foot tall, 4-foot wide mass of these beautiful leaves, which, like I said, it's looking sickly. It was in a little pot and it was outgrowing it. And actually I'm going to take that leaf off so that it can concentrate on these. And then it's going to make these yellow aster-like flowers. And this is medicinal, but I haven't looked really into that yet. I wanted something that would create a big mound of beauty. We are not putting an understory tree in this guild because, like I said, we want to preserve the view. Here, come over here with me. So if we're looking out the back of the house, we want to preserve the view to the lake. So that, once it's 6 feet tall, it's going to be like visually halfway up the fence, because that fence is a lot lower ground and then the lake is lower ground still. So it's going to be like here. So right here, ready to bump into the elecampane, right there, once it's grown, is a Echinacea purpurea. This is the regular purple. And just like we talked about with the yarrow over there, this is the traditional medicinal official use this one. It's this one, and it's I want to say it's Echinacea augustifolia, but if I am wrong, I will put the correction on the screen. This one will get a couple of feet high, or a few feet high by a couple of feet wide. So once it's going to be so hard to imagine it, or maybe it's just because I don't have a visual memory. Once the Echinacea and the elecampane fill in, they will be bumping elbows right about here. So it'll be a nice coverage here, and then the pineberry can start to fill in, and all of this should be really, really full and beautiful. I did put in an agastache, and I did not pay attention to which ones I was planting. I just started some. This is a perennial, but it's not a long-lived perennial. It'll go a couple of years, probably, maybe 3 or 4, who knows. I don't think I'll be here to see it. I put this stick on it, it will layer, and I will dump more soil there soon. And then, you know I love my nasturtiums. So this will fill in, and it should be shaded enough by the time the comfrey and the agastache and the pineapple mint all fill in. This should be shaded and be able to fill in a little bit. And aside from weeds that I am still working on pulling, like this cursed hedge parsley that comes up everywhere, And if you find something like this, by the way, check a field guide, or you can look online and learn to tell the difference between hedge parsley and hemlock, because they look a lot alike and you don't want to make that mistake. We've had this every year, so this is my 4th year with it, and it's the first year that I have not looked it up to confirm that it's not hemlock, because it's grown here enough that I know for sure that it's hedge parsley this time. But definitely check if you have something that looks like a wild carrot or wild parsley, look it up. This was how More Prana Gardens here got started. When I move, the next More Prana Gardens will get started about the same way. One planting and everything that goes with it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the little tour, and I hope you learned a little bit about guilds. Here is the video that YouTube thinks you should watch next, so click into that and I will see you over there. Later, y'all.